By the time he was 30 years old, he had conquered the entire known world. He never lost a single battle, not one. He fought lions. He tamed wild horses. He believed he was the son of a god. And in just 13 years, he marched his army from Greece, through the burning deserts of Egypt, all the way to the jungles of India. His name was Alexander the Great. But was he a brilliant hero or a bloodthirsty tyrant? He burned glorious cities to the ground in a drunken rage. He killed his own friends in fits of paranoia. Alexander was born in Macedonia, a kingdom of rough warriors. His father, King Philip, was a military genius. His mother, Olympias, was a mystic who slept with snakes. She told Alexander a secret. Philip is not your father. You are the son of Zeus, the king of gods. Today we walk the path of the Golden King, the man who looked at the map of the world and decided to own it all. Alexander believed her. Even as a child, he was different. One day, a horse dealer brought a massive black stallion named Bucephalus. The horse was a beast. No man could ride him. He threw everyone off. But young Alexander noticed something. The horse was afraid of its own shadow. Alexander gently turned the horse toward the sun. The shadow disappeared. The horse calmed down. Alexander mounted him and rode off. His father cried and said, "My son, ask for yourself another kingdom, for that which I leave is too small for you." He was tutored by Aristotle, the greatest philosopher in history. He learned science, medicine, and logic. He was the perfect weapon, a warrior's body with a philosopher's mind. When Alexander was 20, his father was assassinated. Alexander took the throne. He immediately killed his rivals to secure power. Then he looked east. He wanted to destroy the Persian Empire. Persia was a superpower. It was massive, rich, and terrifying. Greece was tiny in comparison, but Alexander didn't care. He crossed into Asia with 40,000 men. When Alexander was 20, his father was assassinated. Alexander took the throne. He immediately killed his rivals to secure power. Then he looked east. He wanted to destroy the Persian Empire. Persia was a superpower. It was massive, rich, and terrifying. Greece was tiny in comparison. But Alexander didn't care. He crossed into Asia with 40,000 men. His first test was the Gordian Knot. An ancient legend said that whoever untied this complex knot would rule all of Asia. Men had tried for centuries and failed. Alexander looked at the knot. He didn't use his fingers. He drew his sword and sliced it in half. "It is undone," he said. This was his philosophy. Brute force solves complex problems. He met the Persian king, Darius III, at the Battle of Issus. Alexander led the charge himself. He rode straight for the king. Darius was so terrified of this madman charging at him that he turned his chariot and fled, leaving his family behind. Alexander marched south to Egypt. The Egyptians hated the Persians, so they welcomed Alexander as a liberator. They crowned him pharaoh. They called him a living god. He founded a new city on the coast, Alexandria. It would become the center of knowledge for centuries. But he wasn't done. He chased Darius into the heart of Persia. At the Battle of Gaugamela, he was outnumbered 5-1. But through sheer tactical brilliance, he crushed the massive Persian army. Darius fled again, only to be murdered by his own generals. Alexander was now the king of kings. He took the capital city of Persepolis. It was the jewel of the world. But one night, during a drunken party, a woman suggested they burn the palace to avenge Athens. Alexander, drunk and wild, grabbed a torch. The city was reduced to ash. It was an act of vandalism that history never forgot. He had everything, but it wasn't enough. He wanted to reach the end of the world. He marched his tired army into India. There they faced a new nightmare: war elephants. In the Battle of the Hydaspes, Alexander fought King Porus. It was a brutal, muddy slaughter. Horses were terrified of the elephants, but Alexander won. However, his greatest horse, Bucephalus, died in this battle. Alexander was heartbroken. He built a city there and named it Bucephala, in honor of his horse. His soldiers had had enough. They had been marching for 10 years. They were rich, but they wanted to go home. They refused to go further. For the first time in his life, Alexander lost, not to an enemy, but to his own men. He was forced to turn back. Alexander returned to Babylon. He planned new invasions. He wanted Arabia. He wanted Rome. But destiny stopped him. One night, after a heavy drinking session, he fell ill with a fever. For 2 weeks, he suffered. He couldn't speak. He couldn't move. His generals gathered around his deathbed. They asked him the most important question: to whom do you leave your empire? With his last breath, Alexander whispered, to the strongest. He died at age 32. His empire immediately collapsed into civil war. His generals fought for 40 years to divide the lands. Alexander lived fast and died young, but he changed the world forever. He spread Greek culture, language, and art across the globe. He proved that one man with enough ambition can truly touch the edges of the earth.